Hello there. I am leading a watercolor and yoga retreat to Tuscany, and the goal of this is not just watercolor, but that will be a big part of what we do when we are traveling in Tuscany. So this is about wine and watercolor and seeing Tuscany and doing yoga. I want to share with you what I am packing as a watercolor artist and what we are giving the participants as people that are going to be playing with watercolor and doing plein air watercoloring and travel journal watercoloring along the way. So let's take a look at these goodies and these watercolor supplies that will be going with us. All right, are you ready? Let's take a look. Okay, we are giving the watercolor participants a bag that is about this size. Actually, it is this size. It's not this exact bag. I designed this bag. I did design the bag for the retreat as well, but it is got a specific logo and a specific watercolor design for that retreat. So they're going to get a bag, a canvas bag like this, to hold all of their watercolor supplies. When they open it up, they will find a watercolor journal that is this size. It is a nice watercolor journal, and it's got this lovely little divider so you can see where you leave off in your watercolor journal. So that will be the first thing that the students get, this little watercolor journal. Then each of the students will get this watercolor Artistro watercolor set. This is a really nice beginner set. It is not super expensive. It does come with a that's about around 2, and then this particular brush here, you can fill it with water. I never do that. I think it's really hard to control the amount of water on your brush when you do that, but they'll be able to use this nice round, that's probably about a round 4, to paint with when they are out and about. There is a water-based black ink pen in there as well. You can use kind of some mixing wells here and a sponge as well. So this makes a very nice watercolor travel set. Now, if you're gonna do super professional things, these don't have a very strong or lasting light fastness. They will eventually fade. So you just do want to be careful with that if this is something that you want to last a long time. On the first day, I will have everyone fill in the color map so they know what colors to use. Okay, so that is the watercolor set that we are using. And then a couple other things in here. So when I travel, I take a mason jar. I fill it with some just paper towels. I also always in my mason jar have my pencil sharpener, and you know, this is a fancy pretty looking one, but it does a great job of sharpening. It doesn't do a great job of collecting. So I have 2 typically that I take with me. Those are the 2 that I take with me. You can get this one on Amazon. And this is just a little mason jar. I know it adds a little bit of weight. It's a little bit heavy, but I take this with my carry-on when I am flying. And the reason why I do that is if I have this little bag in my carry-on, I can start watercoloring on the plane. All I do is I ask for a little bit of water from the stewardess, and then I take everything out and I fill this with water, and I use this to watercolor with, to paint with. So that is pretty much what's in the bag. The only other thing that I have in the bag here, this I personally am taking. It is a little just cotton towel to go ahead and sop up any watercolor that I need to, and I can reuse it. Now, every participant is going to get a black wing pencil, and these are fantastic pencils for sketching and for drawing. And one of the things that I love about these black wing pencils you can actually take out the eraser here and you can change the eraser out. You can add a little bit more space if you need more space and put it back in so that you can use that eraser when you need to. It's really fantastic. And I love these black wing pencils. So all of the participants will get a black wing pencil. So that's what they're getting. They're getting the black wing pencil, they're getting a bag to put everything in, they're getting a watercolor set, a travel journal. They are also getting a little mason jar so that they can paint around town with them. Now, that's what the participants will receive. I want to show you what I take with me every time I travel. I want to have my particular set of brushes with me. So I'm taking my watercolor brushes. I have my round 16. I have a round 6, a round 2, and this is a round 1. I keep the little plastic cover on it to protect it while traveling. I also have my palette knife because in case I want to do any bigger paintings outside of my travel journal, I do have Arches 7x10, Arches watercolor paper, 140 pound. That way, if I wanted to do a landscape, I would have the ability to do that right on the spot. I also have some just slightly cheaper Italian watercolor paper. I don't love it as much as I love my Arches, but that is another great alternative. So if I wanted to do an 8x8, I have the ability to do that. I'll take those with me. Then this is the watercolor travel journal that I will be taking as well. And this particular travel journal, it's just bigger than the one we are giving our participants. As you can see, this square, this is about a 5x5, and the one I have is more closer to an 8x8 square size. The Artistro set does come with some watercolor paper. I think this is great paper for testing colors, and it's not my favorite paper, but it is great scrap paper. So if you want to try things out, test colors, this is the way to go. Now, the paints that I will be taking my Winsor & Newton 24 squares here. As you can see, they've kind of flipped over here, but these are, I've added some squares in the middle so those don't stick as well. But it's 24 pan set of my Winsor & Newton, really basic colors here for a travel set. And then I've added a few in this middle row that fit pretty nicely as well. So that's what's going with me. Finally, let me show you. This is a bit of an extravagance. If you are someone that really does not want a heavy bag, you're not going to want to do this. But I do have a ceramic watercolor palette that I'll be bringing with me. I'll just put this in a plastic bag to help make sure that those colors don't rub off on anything. And I will be traveling with this, I believe, because it's just helpful for me to be able to have a little bit of a palette besides what my tins provide. It gives me the ability to mix the colors the way I want to mix them and just make sure that I have a palette no matter what. So those are the basics of what I will be traveling with on this watercolor trip to Tuscany. And when I get back, I can't wait to show you what's in my watercolor travel journal. What are you most excited to see?